What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Scene Invaders podcast channel. I'm Chad.
And I'm Carly.
And this is Chad and Carly's Creepy Corner. And guys, I am so excited to talk about our movie today, which is Weapons from 2025, written and directed by Zach Cregger, who gave us Barbarian in 2022, which I was a huge fan of.
Yes.
If you haven't seen Barbarian, my God, please do yourself a favor and watch that movie, but go into it like I recommend going into Weapons, knowing as little as you possibly can about it, because that movie, I was just telling Chris about this, is the kind of thing that you will, if you don't know what the movie's about with Barbarian, you'll go into that and have literally no idea ever where this is going. Anybody who's like, "Ooh, I knew right where that was going," bitch, you were a liar.
You didn't.
No, you didn't know. There's no way you could have. And that was a hell of a fun ride, and it got me so excited for his follow-up, which is Weapons. And just to put it out there right up front, guys, we are going to spoil this movie. We're talking plot points and major things, and like we said before, unless you don't care about that, absolutely stick around. But I'm sure Carly's with me on this. Go into this movie blind and just see it and let it take you for the ride,
and then come back here.
And then come back and see what we have to say about it. But yeah, I'm gonna have a hard time seeing people have too many problems with this movie.
Right.
This is told in a style. I know I've seen a lot of people comparing this to Magnolia, which is Paul Thomas Anderson film, or Pulp Fiction.
Yep.
Because it tells the story in 6 parts, and you basically are presented with the mystery. And this is all you need to know going in. A classroom full of kids, 17 students, disappear one night. They all get up out of their bed at 2:17 a.m. and run Naruto style down the street with their arms out into the darkness, and nobody knows what's happened to them. There is one kid that is left in the class, and the teacher, of course, is still left as well. And then the mystery of this unfolds over 6 chapters, 6 different characters and their points of view of kind of the same events, but each story just gives you another layer to the mystery, another answer. And the way this doles that out, I thought was absolutely incredible.
Oh, absolutely. And then I don't know if you're aware of this, but after the success of Barbarian, they had a bidding war over the script for Weapons. And Jordan Peele was so pissed that they lost that auction that he fired 2 of his managers.
I learned that after seeing this. I would have too.
You're right.
Because just reading that script, it's just so crazy and it's so brilliant the way that it unfolds.
Yes.
And when this movie starts, it's just a black screen and it's a voiceover. And for a moment, I wondered if maybe something wasn't working right in the theater. But then the picture comes to life as soon as she says the name of her school. And from that second on, I was absolutely, completely gripped to this. And you start with Justine, played by, oh my God,
Julia Garner.
Yeah, Julia Garner. Good Lord. And she is the teacher of the class that went missing. And it is basically a witch hunt for her. Everyone in the town, all the parents think she's responsible. And of course, it looks shady as hell. Yeah. But I think you come to quickly realize that she does not have anything to do with this. What I thought was really smart about her character in this is that you can tell she really cares about the kids. She really likes her job, but she's also an extremely flawed person who makes very bad decisions sometimes. But I thought it made her seem so real and more realistic than some like shining beacon of the community or something like that. So it made me feel a bit more invested in her. I don't think she's exactly super likable necessarily, but you still find yourself, or I found myself still kind of wanting to root for her a bit, because you felt that her heart was in the right place, even if her actions weren't always.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think that she was a great character in that aspect. It's obviously, she does have the flaws. She's seems to have an alcohol problem, and I guess she's like hooking up sometimes with her ex, but I mean, in her defense though, he said that he wasn't with that girl, and I have been I've been on the other end. I've been in Julia Garner's position before, and it is not a good position to be in. So actually for sure. Twice. So Jesus. It was not fun. I mean,
most of the characters here all have like flaws in some way. Nobody's like perfect or always making the right decision or doing the right thing. And it's just smart because again, it makes you care more. And then when the horror of this movie starts to kick in a bit more, you do feel more invested in them. You're worried for their outcomes and what's going to happen to them. And yeah, starting off with her story, I thought was absolutely the smartest way to go here because it really does set everything up. It gives you a really good like temperature of what's happening in the town because this is like a month after these disappearances have happened. Then you could just see how this is affecting everyone because the narrator at the beginning basically says that like what happened here is true, but the town has basically chosen to just kind of forget about it or brush it under the rug. And
they were so embarrassed at their ineptitude.
Yeah, and I mean there are some quibbles. We'll get to that for
Yeah.
sure that you could have with this movie, but I will tell you why most of those quibbles don't matter to me.
No.
But yeah, you just follow along with her. She's has a dad specifically played by Josh Brolin. His name is Archer. He is kind of the one parent that we're actually like introduced to and seemingly one of the most affected by it. You see his personal life being destroyed basically. He's having a really hard time with the fact that he never got to like tell his kid how much he loved him and all that kind of stuff. He's sleeping in his bed at night. He's after Julia Garner, Justine.
Marriage.
It's affecting his marriage and he wants
his
answers.
Job.
Yeah. Oh my God. Right. And his job. Yeah. He's ordering the wrong paint color. But I mean, that paint came in handy because he got to write witch on her cars.
Right. Oh my God. What a dick.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, you have to understand. I mean, I'm sure you do. You have kids. So it's very easy to relate to where these people are coming from. Like even if some of them probably don't believe she has anything to do with this, you want answers. You want them now.
Oh, yeah. There are kids.
Yeah. Anger and like a witch hunt. And yeah, I just thought that those two, like starting off this story, because you move out of her story and right into his, and each one of these chapters, like I said, there are 6 of them, kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger of sorts, and each chapter unveils like another layer to this mystery. And even with characters that seemingly would be inconsequential, or you're like, wait, why are we following this character? What's going on here? It all kind of comes around to tell this story in such a refreshing way. Of course, we've seen stuff like this before, like we said, Pulp Fiction or Magnolia, but it's just it's handled so well here, and I think that it adds to this as opposed to detracts from it, because I think if this were told in a more straightforward way,
it definitely would not be as effective.
No, you wouldn't be able to dole out these delicious surprises.
Yes.
So speaking of cliffhangers, Justine's story
oh my God,
I think with the absolute best one. So she really desperately wants to talk to Alex, the one boy left from her class. Everyone around her, the principal of the school, everyone in her life, all of that. It's a bad idea, yo. Everybody already hates you, girl. Like, maybe just let that go. But of course she can't. And this leads to some of her bad decision making and bad choices. You do understand them, but it's also kind of like, get a grip, Justine. Like, get your life together. So she starts investigating around this little boy's home. And as Carly said, she does have a bit of a drinking problem. So she's snooping around the house and notices that all the windows are covered in newspaper, gets kind of a peek inside. You can't tell exactly what's going on, but she sees a couple figures sitting there, which startles her and starts to lead her to believe that something is going on with this house. And there's a sequence at the end of her particular story where she's in her car drinking, kind of like camped outside his house, and she's drank herself to sleep, basically. And you have this camera shot that's just static from like her point of view area, basically, of the car. And you see the house, the door of this house open. And it's just open. Yeah, and it's just black and it's just open for a minute. And you start to get this like low violin sound, like a very horror movie sounding. And you start to see this figure like walking toward the car and stuff. And
very jankily too.
Yeah, very jankily. You know something is not right. And this is the first time you really get that sense too of like something definitely is. I mean, you know something's not right. Kids are gone. But like you're like, what the hell is wrong with this person? And I thought this led to one of the most like chilling moments in the movie. So this figure approaches the car. You see it stop at her open window.
Yes.
And then it moves right by the open window. And it's so quiet at this particular moment in the movie, too. And the next thing you hear is a car door open. And let me tell you,
God,
the chills that I felt when that happened, I was just like, oh my God. And you could, my theater collectively
Yes,
was
the
just like,
sound. Yeah, different people are like, oh no.
yeah.
I heard that. I was like, oh God.
So I could tell people were gripped by this for sure.
Yes.
So you know someone has gotten in the car behind her, and the next thing you know,
Wait, you hear the insects. That's all you can hear.
Yeah, basically, it's just
and it's just like, yeah, it's just a second later. Then you hear the door close.
Mm.
And you're like, oh my God, okay, they're in the car now. What is going to happen? And
yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like the longest 5 seconds like ever. You're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And you take it from here.
And yeah, so the next thing that you see is a hand and a pair of scissors come up by her face. And I was like, oh, Ahoa is about to get stabbed or something. I don't know what's happening. But all this does is the scissors open up and cut off a little lock of her hair and pull it away. End of her story. We're on to Archer. And that is the kind of thing that this movie does so brilliantly. It just constantly leaves you on the hook with these little tidbits of stuff, because at this point, I
was thinking at this point, I was like, is it aliens? Is it possibly like what's Invasion of Body Snatchers? They're taking over these people's bodies, like something like that. That, of course, a witch is the furthest thing from my mind, which should have been like one of the closest things, but yeah.
Yeah, I never thought about that at all. When I went into this movie, I had seen the poster. I've avoided that trailer like the Matrix. I was like, I don't want to see anything. I saw a couple stills of imagery from this, and that was really it. I basically knew what the poster said, and thank God. I'm so glad that that's how it played out for me.
Yes,
it's not going to be like that, sadly, for a lot of people, I think, now, because I've seen a lot of crap online that I think is really sketchy, but that's for another video. And yeah, going into this, for whatever reason, I had my mind made up before going in that this was somehow going to have something to do with aliens or abduction.
Oh, see, that's what I thought too. Yeah.
Just like, I don't know, something about the creepy look of like the kids running and all that kind of stuff. Like that's just for sure where I thought this was going to go. And I mean, the kind of weapons is vague enough.
Some of the red herrings too, with the whole radio tower with Archer. So yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, I think somebody could sit here and maybe say, yeah, I saw where this was going. This is not quite as like mysterious as Barbarian, but this is still incredibly mysterious. And I truly did not ever know where this was going. Like in my mind, for the longest time, I have thinking this is going to lead to aliens or whatever, and it doesn't. What's happening here is that the little boy who is left from the class, Alex, had an aunt come to stay with him and his family. And when they introduced this character named Gladys, played by Amy Madigan, let me promise you that my fight or flight response kicked in immediately.
Yes.
And you get a couple of like shots of her before you meet her in the movie, but I didn't think a whole lot of it, honestly. I just thought it was creepy imagery.
Yeah, every time you see it, you're like, who the fuck is that? What is that thing? What is going on here? Okay, well, that's weird. I guess we'll find out about it later.
Yeah. And I thought maybe it was just creepy imagery that like the movie was playing with.
Gotcha.
So the principal of the school wants to meet with Alex's family again. I mean, again, kids are missing. It's pretty normal for everybody to talk. And she has now become like the surrogate for the family. And when she walks in his office, immediately I was like, oh, hell no. Because this woman looks not okay. She has a crazy ass wig on and this makeup all like around her mouth and this scarily chipper attitude.
Yes.
But you know something is not right with this woman. And indeed it is not, because she has come to live with this family under the guise of being she is sick. So it's not really exactly a lie that she's not well, but for them to care for her. But what her real intention is to basically suck the life force of Alex's parents so it can help her keep her from dying, basically, or keep her from getting more ill, or like kind of rejuvenate her even. And when she realizes that that's not quite doing the trick, that's when she tasks Alex with grabbing a personal item from everyone at the school, because she doesn't need a personal item to make these things happen, and has all the kids come to basically stand in the basement of their house and be creepy as hell while she feeds off of their life force. And
Alex feeds them soup.
Yeah, and Alex feeds them soup, Campbell's soup, to be
Yeah.
to be clear. I thought all of this was extremely Stephen King feeling.
Hmm.
Like kind of like it in a way. And there was a book I read called The Regulators that's similar-ish like this, and Salem's Lot and stuff like that, where there's this like force in the community that is there to do harm.
Hmm.
And this reveal of what's going on really worked for me. I think
Yeah.
especially because I was so dead set on it being one
Mhm.
thing, and then this came completely out of left field for me, not at all what I expected, and I loved it.
Oh,
It was so simple, but so effective, just
Yeah.
so incredibly effective and incredibly creepy. And I
Yes.
think it added a layer of sadness to this movie too, because Alex, this poor
Oh my
kid,
God.
is constantly having his parents dangled in front of his face, basically, as I can make them eat each other if I want them to.
Hmm.
So you're basically going to do what I tell you and abide by my rules. And
That poor
this
kid.
character, and yeah, Amy Madigan as Gladys is absolutely incredible here. She goes from chipper, upbeat, like saccharine, to like truly like menacing in the same
Mhm.
breath. And I felt it. I was like, this is the kind of shit the Academy Awards need to recognize, and at least with a nomination for something like this, because she
Right.
truly just rises to the occasion in this and becomes a really memorable antagonist. And I think we're going to see a lot of Halloween costumes of her this year.
Oh
too.
yes, absolutely. I can't wait. I think there's going to be a lot of that at Dragon Con too.
Yeah, I bet.
Like that whole part, the whole scene where she shows up at Marcus, the principal's house or whatever.
Mhm.
She's all desperate and asking for a bowl of water, and it's just like, oh my God! As soon as she pulled out that branch and like pricks her finger, I'm like, she's a fucking witch. God
Yeah.
damn! I was like, this bitch.
Right. So after the meeting that they had at the school, she ends up showing up at the principal's house, and him and his husband are sitting down to a heck of a spread of hot dogs and snacks.
Oh my God, I was like, how? That's like 7 or 8 hot dogs. I was like, Jesus Christ, guys.
Yeah, for real. But she shows up at their doorstep. I mean,
and they're watching, they're watching a cordyceps thing, which is really interesting because she's basically a fucking parasite.
Yeah, exactly.
Parasite to all these
there was
people.
stuff I noticed too on the classroom chalkboard that about parasites and stuff like that too. But yeah, she shows up at their house desperate. She needs water. She had to walk all the way, all this stuff. And like I said, fight or flight response would have kicked in for me.
Marcus was right. He was trying to tell her, just like, no. But his husband was like, no, of course, come on in. She's thirsty. Like, oh.
That would have been me, probably. I would have been like, this is really alarming, but you know what?
Come on in.
Let me get you a bowl of water, girl. But this is kind of the sequence that shows you exactly how she's doing what she's doing, and it sets it up really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
So she asked for water. She was like, I'm kind of weird, so I just want it in a bowl. And I'm like, oh, hell no. This is crazy. Something crazy finna happen. Because at this point, you still don't know exactly like what is happening here. It hasn't been revealed exactly that she's a witch or any of that kind of stuff. You just know she's involved and something's not okay. And yeah, like Carly said, she pulls out this branch, and she had taken these what are they?
They were well, when she goes to the principal's office, you notice that she's eyeing this set of ribbons that he has. And then you see part of the ribbons that are intertwined in the branch later. Like, oh fuck.
Yeah, because she needs something personal from each person that she aims to control, and she wraps it around this branch. There's this tree when she moves into the house that she carries around with her, and it never explains exactly what the tree is. I don't have a problem with that, actually. It's just a magic tree. Cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And she can wrap personal items around it, prick her finger with blood, smear her blood all around on it, and then suddenly she can make whoever's belongings she had do whatever she wants. And I think this leads to probably, for me, the most brutal scene in the movie, because she turns Marcus on his husband, who he headbutts to death.
Oh my God, dude.
And I thought it was handled super well, though, because it wasn't gratuitous.
It wasn't like focused on, but you could still tell what was going on, and it was the prosthetic. And the prosthetic, and just like thinking, like, oh my God, he has to kill his own husband. This is so terrible.
And as he like continues to butt his head, like the sound after a little bit of time, after you can tell things have broken down, gets like a little bit more dull, squishy, and just squishy. And I think this all looked very practically done to me. Like
Yeah.
no CGI here. This was true, like practical effects. And again, it's not overly graphic necessarily. It's more the sound of it and all of that makes it seem a bit more graphic than it is. It
It's
is
very
graphic,
effective. It's very
but
effective.
yeah, it's just handled really well because a lot of time through this, it is kind of out of focus and you're kind of off kilter camera wise and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And it just absolutely really hit. And then her next mission is to send Marcus after Justine. And when she tells these people that she has control over to do something, they will stop at absolutely nothing, which actually leads to one of the biggest laughs in the
Yes, I
movie
love that
a little bit
scene.
later. But
Oh,
yeah,
well,
they'll stop at nothing.
I love the scene watching him, like, just, you got all these different cuts of him running through town.
Yes.
Like, just running past people, and people are like, what the fuck? They're like, what's going on? Or
Yeah,
just seeing
essentially
everybody's reactions. It was great.
And essentially he's been weaponized, kind
Yep.
of. She can turn these people into weapons that she can use however she pleases. So he is just mindlessly running after Justine to try and kill her. He does end up getting hit by a car.
Oof.
And that just adds yet another like delicious layer sort of to this mystery and exactly what's going on. And it just, again, the way that this all just unveils itself and feeds you little bits of information, it's just so incredibly well done. The cop, his name was Paul, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, there's also the man that
I
Justine
hated
had.
Paul, by the way.
I love his
I
mustache.
fucking hated him. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, his mustache is totally on point, but he was a terrible character.
Yeah,
I'm
he was
sorry.
not. But again, I think everybody here kind of, for the most part, was fairly unlikable in some way or another.
Yeah,
But it
he
made
was,
them
like,
feel a bit more real.
really. Yeah, he
Yeah.
was, like, way unlikable. Going to,
Yeah.
especially having. I'm assuming that, well, not only did he lie to Justine, but he also probably had unprotected sex after he had already been, like, possibly exposed to, like, AIDS and shit.
Yeah.
It's just
Oh
like,
God, I didn't even think about
yes,
that.
that's what I was like. He's terrible. I was like, why would he do that? And I love that whole scene where he's talking with the drug addict, homeless guy,
Yeah.
James, and he's like, "Do you have AIDS?" I was waiting for him to ask. He's like, "Do you have AIDS?" He's like, "Oh,
Right.
I don't
It was
think
blunt
so."
too.
I was like,
Because like Paul and James, the drug addict guy, are people
Yeah.
that you wouldn't initially think really play much part in this story, because they do
Mhm.
have an interaction where like he's chasing him as a cop, he's chasing like the drug addict trying to break into places and stuff, and then it gets to James's story and you're like, wow, this really is like
yeah.
the most off-kilter character here, because
Yes.
he just seemingly is just like a druggie and like a drug addict who lives on the street.
Mhm.
Well, as drug addicts do, he is trying to find any way that he possibly can to make money. So he'll
Mhm.
walk by cars and try to open their doors, steal, try to pawn things, all that kind of stuff.
He was
So
calling he was talking on the phone to a relative trying to get money. He's
yeah,
like,
to
"No,
get
I've
clothes for his
I'm trying
job.
to get the money to get the clothes so then I can get the job."
Yeah, I thought this character actually was very entertaining, and I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
it added kind of a moment of a little bit of
Little
levity
level,
that you needed.
yeah, levity. Mhm.
Because the movie is so insanely intense that you have to have something to break that a little bit, or I think it could have been maybe just a bit too intense or too much. So you had to have like a couple of things to just sort of like give you a moment to like catch your breath
Yeah.
and get back to life. And he does that, but he also ends up having one of the most interesting stories here, because he
Mhm.
comes across little Alex's house. It looks abandoned, basically. There's newspapers just like plastered on all the windows and stuff. And he was
The
like,
yard
well,
is, yeah, the yard clearly hasn't been taken care of.
Yeah.
Everything's overgrown. Yeah.
so he decides to break into this house to see what he can steal and sell. And while he's making his way around the house, I thought it was incredibly tense, because we know at this
Yes.
point that there are people in the house. And as he's making his way around, I was just the whole time like, oh God, like something is going to happen. Well, nothing in that way happens, not in the traditional way that you would think that you would get a scare here. But he makes his way down to the basement. And as he steps down there, all the kids from the classroom are just standing there and they all turn to face him. And you're like, holy shit. Here are all these fucking kids in this house. What in the hell is happening? And he discovers that he can make $50,000 by finding out the whereabouts of these kids. And that's the part that he plays in this, but he gives you one of the biggest reveals here as far as like where the kids actually are and stuff. And I thought it was just so incredibly entertaining and such an interesting way to do it and tell this story that
Yeah.
actually I thought felt extremely natural and pretty normal. Like,
Oh, really? Especially when he first runs into the parents. He's downstairs. He's trying to hawk, like, I guess he's trying to steal some kind of an entertainment system. And he
mhm,
looks up, and in the reflection of the TV, he sees two figures just sitting on the
mhm.
couch. And that's when he, discovers the parents. He tries to talk to him. And then when he realizes that they're just fucked up, he goes back to stealing.
Yeah,
I love
exactly. They're
that.
just standing there. So
Yeah, he's like, "Well, I'll just go ahead and do this." And then he finds the kids, and then we hard cut to him like selling the shit that he like stole first. So of
for
course he's got to
sure.
do that because he's got to get his drugs and his fix.
Absolutely. And yeah, it's moments like that that make this movie really stand out as something a bit different, and I think
Mhm.
keep it so wildly entertaining. And one thing that we really haven't mentioned is just how funny this movie
Yeah.
is. There are a lot of laughs throughout this. Barbarian had a lot of humor in it too. Um, and there's a sequence toward the end of this movie where basically all of this has converged. Everybody's basically come to this house together. We have Justine and Archer and Paul
Mhm.
and James and Alex and Gladys, and everybody's there.
Yep.
And basically they're all being turned against Justine to try to take her out. And James, again, like once these people are commanded to do what Gladys wants them to do, they will stop at nothing other
Yeah,
than
and
death. So
basically, yeah, you have to destroy their brain pretty
yeah,
much. They're kind of like zombies.
yeah, they are kind of zombie-like for sure. But there's this sequence where he is after, I think he's after Paul in this particular, or is it
I
Archer?
It's Archer. Yeah, he's fighting
Okay.
Archer.
Yeah, he's after Archer in this particular sequence. And I've never simultaneously, or not very many times, simultaneously been stressed out and laughing at the
Yeah.
same time because he gets knocked down and then like
Yep.
just a couple seconds go by and then all of a sudden he's screaming again and he's up and like running and then he gets and this happens like
yeah,
maybe
like
5 times.
Yeah, it's hilarious. You're
And
like
it
just
is,
waiting for him to get back up, and there he is.
yeah, it's just so incredibly funny. And
Mhm.
again, like it's just that this insanely brilliant balance of like you are stressed out in this moment because the stakes are high and like genuinely creepy stuff is happening, but you
Yeah.
have this like so absurd situation that's happening that does fit everything that's going on there, and it just all
Mhm.
comes together to make this wonderful moment that is so unexpected and so much fun. So the way this movie ends essentially is little Alex has his parents turned on him. His parents are being kept behind this line of salt to
Mhm.
keep everybody safe. He's been advised not to step over the line of salt. But all the while this pandemonium is happening in the house, he decides to test this and puts a little step over it, and his parents relentlessly chase him because he is now their mark.
Mhm.
Gladys has marked him as
He's
who they're supposed to go
yes.
after. And it's actually quite frightening because to think about your parents doing that to you when up to this point they've basically just been kind of zombie like in a way. They just
Yeah.
kind of sit around, he feeds them soup, they don't really talk
They're
or
there.
anything.
Yeah, they're there just basically to give their life force to
Yeah.
Gladys.
They're just a body that sits at the table or on the couch.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're chasing him through the house from room to room, breaking through doors, trying to get at him. And of course, because he's lived in this house with Gladys now, he's seen her do these rituals of how she takes control of these people. And he just so happens to have the stuff to be able to do that himself. So he tries his hand at it and decides he wants to try to get control of this situation. And he does. This also leads to
Oh
one
my
of
god,
the
I fucking loved it.
the most sustained moments of laughter in this. So, especially too, I was talking about this last night. This poor kid, it's very
Mhm.
sad. He's helpless in this situation. He's being basically held hostage in a sense. He can't
Mhm.
live a normal life right now. His parents are gone, who he seems to love very much. And
And I love the fact that they're like barely even introduced into the movie, and you can already tell that they have a very loving relationship.
Yeah. They just seem like a really normal, like pretty
Yeah,
wholesome,
so
regular family. So I think there's a lot of rage built up in this kid. And when
Yes.
he learns that, or when he tries his hand at this magic with the stick and the blood and all of that to try to take control of the situation, boy, does he. because all of these kids are channeling his rage. At least that's how I felt. And they chase after Gladys.
Well, he took the branch that she, I guess, I think that she had tethered them all to. So that's what he did. He took that branch from her and just turned it around on her. It was so good.
Yeah, and he added his blood to it, which gave him control of the situation. And he sends this group of 17 kids relentlessly after this woman. And she's been pretty frail for the most part in this movie, but she's also now at this point been like feeding off the life force of a lot of younger kids for a while. So the hoe has some stamina.
A little bit.
And
oh my God, but that reaction when the branch snaps, she goes, oh no.
Oh, she knew immediately. She could feel like, something happen. Oh, no. Yep. And these kids chase her absolutely relentlessly through houses, through the neighborhood. And all the while, they're just screaming at the top of their lungs, chasing her. And it's so funny.
Yes.
But not like in a bad way. Like it never undermines or undercuts like the tension of this movie or like the few really good scares that you get and stuff. It just felt organic to me. And again, like I think that is sort of a representation of Alex finally like being free and getting control of this situation. And these kids absolutely chase her down. Like I said, jumping through windows, breaking through glass, just piles of them. And they chase her
like
down.
Ravenous dogs.
Yeah, they are for real. And they chase this woman down and they tear her apart. They tear her limbs off and completely tear her apart in the yard.
Like Day of the Dead style. Like
I was
even
satisfied.
Better. Yes.
Yes. I was so satisfied in this moment. I was like, because I've seen a lot of people take issue with the very end of this. And I don't think it's a crazy tonal shift the way some people are saying it is. This is not 28 years later type of ending. My God.
This actually makes sense within the story.
I agree. This absolutely makes sense in this world, the rules that we have set up and stuff. And I thought, again, it was just a very satisfying ending.
Yes.
Like it's still, there's this air of sadness that hangs over the whole movie. And even at the end, you get a very good outcome here because the kids are free. They're not quite normal exactly because
everybody's changed.
Yeah, it seems the longer you're under the spell, the more of your faculties that you lose. So like Archer, he was under it for just a very short time, so he seems to pop kind of like right back to normal. But anyone who's been under it for a certain amount of time seems to not really come back. I mean, it is alluded to that some of the kids did start talking the following year and all that kind of stuff. But I just thought this really rounded it out into something that was so smart because the movie does start with a witch hunt of sorts for Justine. And it ends with a literal witch hunt with these kids just absolutely like ravenously chasing this woman and getting their revenge on her, or Alex getting his revenge through them. And yeah, this is my favorite movie of the year. I don't foresee something that's going to come along and replace this for me. There are a couple things that I could have a little bit of a quibble with, but in the grand scheme of it all, the way that I felt watching this is a feeling that I just don't get all that often when I go and see a movie or when I watch a movie. How invested I felt in it, how insanely entertaining it was, how incredibly intense it was. A couple of really solid like scares, really good laughs that made sense and didn't undermine the scares. And yeah, this was just absolutely a delight. And it makes me so excited for whatever he does next, which I don't know if you know this.
Oh my God, yes, Resident Evil. I cannot fucking wait. And he like apparently wants to make it like the video game, which thank you. I mean, I know the video game story is like all convoluted and everything, but just get the aesthetic right. And like, you know, maybe just like part of the story would be nice.
For sure. Because especially in this movie too, I think even more so than Barbarian for sure, you really get a sense for how he likes to use his camera, and you get a lot of really interesting like tracking shots in this movie, and like the car chase sequences when Paul's in the car and he's like after the junkie and stuff. The way he's got that camera mounted and the POV and the perspective you get and stuff, it's just so interesting. And like there's a part where James gets pulled out of the cop car by the car, and like the camera's basically on James, so you just get this feeling of like being pulled, and it's just really, really cool and very immersive the way he likes to use his camera at times. And it gives me some hope for a franchise that has been popular enough to have like 6 or 7 of them.
Oh yeah, it always makes money. It always makes money, so you can't be mad at it for that. But I'm just upset because it's not like the game, really.
So hopefully he'll use some of these tricks and like still keep true to like his style, because he
Hmm.
really has a lot to say through filmmaking, you can tell, and he has a very distinct point of view, a distinct way he looks at things, and a distinct way that he likes to tell stories, at least so far. I don't know if this sort of, because Barbarian had that as well. It was
Hmm.
kind of non-linear, not quite to this extent. I mean, this you
No,
have like 6 stories converging into one.
but
Barbarian was
he's
more like 3, but
yeah. And he's really good with his character writing too, because I liked, like you said, a lot of these characters are like, obviously they have flaws. They feel like real people.
they do.
They they're very well written, and I actually cared about all of them, even
Mhm.
if I didn't like them.
Yeah,
So
same. I feel exactly the same. These were not people that were just there to get offed in one creative
yeah,
way or another. These were people that you were meant to invest in without going too hard with that. It gives you just
it
enough to
yeah, it
like,
wasn't manipulative or
yeah,
anything.
yeah, just enough to make them real, and not, it wasn't like some deep character study
Mm-mm.
where you're just like kind of like, okay, well, what's next? Like that kind
No,
of
it's
stuff.
just
Yeah.
well written and solid, tight. I like it. I think really the only qualm that I have with the movie, and it's very small, but maybe shave 5-10 minutes off, but it would be very minimal editing. It
Yeah, for
just
sure.
tighten up just a slight bit, but even at 2 hours and 8 minutes or whatever it is, a little bit over 2 hours, it's still not too long.
No,
But
no.
yeah,
And for me, this just absolutely flew by.
yeah.
I just, and
No, it
Chris,
definitely didn't. It did. It did. I did was not like checking my watch or
no,
anything, so
no.
that's good.
And my boyfriend Chris went to see this with me. This is not his kind of movie. This was one he actually was kind of intrigued by. I think a lot of people are intrigued by this because the
Hmm.
marketing has been so good for it, and everybody
And the
likes a good
reviews,
mystery. Yeah, and the reviews now coming out are very good for it. And we're here to add to that. So yeah, we're
right?
definitely. But he did really end up in liking this movie. He was like, that was insanely intense. And he did tell me that's not a feeling he absolutely loves to have in a movie. But even he, who is would probably not have gone to see this without me, is glad that he saw it and really did enjoy himself. So I'm so excited for anything again that he's going to make in the future.
Yes.
Resident Evil could be amazing. This could be like finally a great Resident Evil. And I did just see an article, I think it was yesterday, where he said he has an idea for another movie in the weapons universe that he would
Ooh.
love to try to make one day. And I do think there's a lot you could do here, because Chris
Mhm.
and I actually talked about that leaving the theater. He was like, well, I mean, you could definitely have a sequel to this and stuff. I said, yeah, it doesn't need it, not in my
Mhm.
opinion. I think
Yeah.
this is a good
But you could
standalone.
expand. Yeah.
But yeah, there are interesting tales that you could tell here. And if it's made with this kind of craft and
Mhm.
love and attention to detail, then I'm absolutely here for it, for sure. He's just part of this new wave of like modern horror filmmakers like Ari Aster and Rose Glass and Jordan Peele and a couple of others that I can't think of, that are really doing something different with the
Mhm.
genre. And it's interesting that him and like someone like Jordan Peele came from comedy backgrounds,
Right?
because you wouldn't expect that crossover. I think comedy and horror are very similar in a lot of
Yes.
ways, but you just wouldn't expect the crossover to be so seamless and so well done. But here they are absolutely proving themselves, and that it can be done and that it should be.
Right? And maybe it's something like, the usually the comedic actors are the comedians. Sometimes they're very good dramatic actors too, just because
Hmm.
they're so funny. I don't know, maybe it's a correlation between that. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean, we've
You're
definitely seen
probably a
stuff
little
like
bit
that.
smarter if you're like funny, but also can
Yeah,
recognize like dark things, like
sure.
horrific things. But yeah.
And comedy and horror are both extremely subjective genres, so it's hard to find out what scares people or what makes them laugh.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, he is fantastic at making people feel very tense and on
Yeah,
edge. So
absolutely.
he's great
Did,
with that.
did you like this or Barbarian more?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to watch Weapons again because
Okay,
I coming out of it, right out of it, I would have probably said Barbarian just because it's
okay,
a little bit shorter.
sure.
But honestly, I've been thinking about this one for a couple of days, and I really do want to watch it again because I want to see if I missed anything the second time, or if it adds additional context, that you don't catch the first time. So
Sure.
I am excited about watching it again. I feel like this is probably going to grow on me, and I may actually like this one better than Barbarian in the long
I
run.
I think I am. I like both movies very much, for
Yes.
sure. I think this edges out Barbarian for me a little bit. I saw it on Thursday night, and then I went back Friday and saw it again. My biggest reason for that was because I think the story is straightforward enough for the most part. Like,
Mhm.
there's not. It really does kind of like unravel itself. It does tell you most of everything. What I wanted to know is, does it just hold up on a second viewing? Because I've had movies like High Tension before.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, that is one that does not hold up.
Yeah, that movie, the first time that I
was
saw
great.
it,
Yeah,
incredible.
fantastic.
But yeah,
Yes.
any other subsequent watch, I've always been like, it just never quite held together for me. But this one does, and I think that was like the biggest marker making this. Yes, this is definitely like my favorite movie of this year. And if something comes to top it, I welcome it, because I would love to. Anytime that I can leave a movie feeling the way that I left Weapons, I'm absolutely here for. But I just don't know. I haven't been this giddy leaving a movie since I saw The Substance last year. And it's the dragon that I chased, girl.
I understand. I chased it too. Ooh, I don't know. I guess I'm looking forward to watching it again.
Yeah, me too. This is definitely something, when it comes to home video, I'm absolutely buying this.
Oh yeah.
And I think it is the kind of movie you probably could watch too much, maybe, but I also, there's this vibe to all of it, and this sort of like suburban small town feel that does give it this sort of like cozy characteristic in a weird way. And there's something sort of like comforting, comforty, at least for me. I'm weird though. I like weird things are comforting to me, but I could see it being like kind of a comfort watch in a way. And yeah, it's just so much fun to spend time in this world and with these people. And yeah, I can't wait to do it again. I probably won't see this again in the theater, but as soon as it's available to buy, this is part of my collection.
Yes.
ASAP. And I know a lot of people I've seen complaining recently that Barbarian still does not have a physical media release. So hopefully they don't go that same direction with Weapons, because that seems a little bit crazy. Why wouldn't you do that? People want it. People are demanding it. Zach Kreger, get it together, homie. But yeah, that was our take on
Not Barbarian.
Not Barbarian.
But it was kind of our take on Barbarian. We both
kind
liked
of
Barbarian.
That's true. This was kind of our take on Barbarian too, guys. But yeah, that was our take on Weapons, again, from 2025, written and directed by Zach Kreger. And did you guys see it? What did you think? I mean, for everything I've seen so far from critics and audiences, seems to be very lined up in those very, very rare instances where that happens. But yeah, if you didn't like it, tell us why. And if you are in the comments and you are spoiling anything, put spoiler warning there. We're going to put a spoiler warning on this video, but
Yeah.
I've seen some really reckless use of imagery.
Boo. Not cool.
Now that the movie's out, because I had never seen any images of Gladys before.
I hadn't either. I had no idea she was there.
And I've seen now people using that as like thumbnails on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. And even in like non-spoiler videos. And I'm like, that's a pretty fucking big, in my opinion, that's a really big spoiler. Yeah. And I mean, I guess you don't know exactly like who she is or whatever, but I think that it's so jarring and so unforgettable the way she looks that I think it's reckless to use that kind of imagery. I just wish some YouTubers and people like that would hold off just a little bit.
Yes.
To let people discover some things on their own. That's what I put when I tweeted it out and put it on Facebook and stuff. I said, before people start passively ruining this movie, which is already happening, go see it and just go for the ride, guys. Yeah, a hell of a ride.
Yes.
But thank you for coming back to the channel. We just put up a found footage video. So Carly and I talked about some of our favorite found footage movies. We just recast Clue, which was insanely fun for the podcast. So that video is up now. Then yeah, we'll have another podcast coming this week, and then another episode of Chad and Carly's Creepy Corner coming very soon, guys. We'll see you later.
Peace. Bye. Peace. Bye.
Peace. Bye.
Peace. Bye.